Hello and welcome to this latest Books Crypto Club catch-up on Zoom. It's Sunday the 24th of October 2021 and we're going to be talking about all things crypto, whether that's cryptocurrencies, assets, DeFi, NFTs, ICOs, who really knows. We have these sessions every week and we end up talking about whatever people want to talk about. So if you'd like to come on a future episode, do come and join us. If you enjoy listening to this and watching this today, do click on the subscribe or wherever it might be. Click the like, but as I say, even better, come on to one of the Sunday sessions and we'll see what we're going to talk about today. Let's see who's going to come and join us. So what is your interest like, Clive?
Just getting an update of what everybody else is doing. I'm trading different things at the moment. I haven't really had a great week, I must admit. Have time to pay much attention to it. I normally trade every day, but I got interrupted this week, so I'm just clawing back some of my losses.
Okay.
And that's only because I was a bit lazy. I'm a big Binance trader, so I don't know whether you've come across the Binance Earn.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
I've seen it, but I've not used it.
Well, basically what you can do is identify new tokens or tokens that they're sponsoring. And one in particular this week is paying 150%
150
per annum.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
that's quite impressive.
So, I've done this. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I just saw Lavinia's joined us as well. I was just going to say hi to Lavinia. And
Okay,
thanks for joining us. Hi, Lavinia.
Hey, how you doing? It's been a little while, so I thought I'd jump in and just say hi and congratulations, because we haven't spoken, but congratulations on your nomination. I know you didn't win in the end, but still, it was good to see you up in London, and hopefully you'll be coming up for more events and we can get to see each other. It's been a very long time, 2 years, I think.
It's funny, I was just talking to Clive a minute ago on the call. I'm saying how it is that the phrase of 2020 was, I think you're on mute. And it was interesting at that crypto event a few weeks ago that the phrase there was, hey, haven't seen you in 18 months.
Yeah.
So absolutely. So it was interesting to get back into it. And that was my first trip to the city as well. And I've been into London once since. I went to join a team I'm helping out with a couple of days ago. Sorry, Clive was just talking about his trading activity. He sounds like he's quite an active trader. I'd have thought this week was the week to be keeping an eye on things though, Clive, because didn't Bitcoin get to 66K at one point before it dropped away back down to 60?
Yeah. Well, it did, and I didn't miss out on that. I had Bitcoin. I was holding Bitcoin at the time. And the other good one's been Ethereum. But to get maximum returns, I always look at what crypto coins are going high against Bitcoin itself. So on Binance, you can see the rises, the Bitcoin. So some of the coins have been rising 20 and 40% on top of what Bitcoin's been doing.
Is that right?
Those are good ones. Yeah, those are good choices.
Okay.
But I was just saying, Lavinia, that I've been using Earn on Binance. And one of the coins, which is I think it's AXS.
That Axie Infinity.
Yeah, been offering a annual return of 150% for 10 days and then 30 days and 90 days, which is they set limits, obviously, so they don't stick themselves up if the market goes against Binance, because they've got to back it up. So if you click on, let me see, we found the Earn. What are you trying to do, Gary?
I was just trying to pull up I was looking at the Bitcoin one first of all, but then I was going to see if I could find
all you need to do, go to your order book on the far.
Right.
Your screen's set out differently from mine, unfortunately.
Okay. No worries.
I'll be able to. Yeah. Okay. But basically, if you need to search for matching pairs.
Okay. I'll tell you what
And
I'll do. I'll drop off the share because that gets distracting. I'll do that as a chatting through. So yeah, you just carry on.
Yeah, well, I'll just open mine. Well, so I've got something to refer to. Otherwise, I'm going to get it wrong. So basically, with Earn, I go to my Fiat and Spot wallet to look at all the coins, and then I'll enter a coin. For example, BTC has got an Earn tab against it on the far right.
Okay.
So you've got, against Bitcoin, you've got buy, deposit, withdraw, trade, earn, and convert. So if you were to click Earn, the Earn button, you've got liquid swap, launch pool, flexible savings, and fixed savings. So generally, the maximum return is on fixed savings. So you click on that, it opens up a new window, savings crypto, and it comes up with locked savings. Now at the moment, AXS is only showing an annualized interest rate of 15%. So it looks like they've reduced it from when I jumped in.
Okay.
Considering. So basically you can scroll down, and where you can see 1 inch, you can expand all 124 flexible savings products, and then just scroll through there and pick the annual percentage yield in the second column, which gives you the highest return. Now, that particular one's not showing a good result. Let me find the screens that we should be looking at. Just give me a second.
Because I probably won't be able to show it on mine, because whenever I'm presenting anything on Binance or on any of the markets, I always make sure I'm not logged in, because I don't want to inadvertently show portfolios or keys or anything like that. So I always, and the problem with that is because it won't have a wallet associated with it at the moment. It won't show those details that you're saying.
Exactly.
About.
Yeah. So you're limited on what you can show. It has to be a live trading account to get that far. So if I'm just clicking the Earn on my screen. You've got flexible savings. Lock staking is the one that gives the biggest return. There is a bit of a risk with it, but if you go on lock staking, you can get, let me just see. I'm just opening up the rest of them.
So does this
over a period of 30 days, AXS is given 115%, and if you are willing to leave your coins in there for 60 days, 123%, and for over 90 days, 131% per annum. But at the end of the 90 days, of course, the trade comes to an end automatically.
Sure. Okay.
So right now, that particular coin is sold out, so you wouldn't be able to do it anyway. So you've got to be in the lock staking area, checking out and searching for the highest interest rates.
Because if I remember correctly, AXS is Axie Infinity, isn't it? Is that right?
It is.
Which is interesting because it's been really, really flat kind of since launch.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of interest because it's into the DeFi, the NFT space.
Yeah.
With gaming, that kind of thing. And it had an absolute explosion going up from like 72 up to, what was it, 140 it nearly hit on? It nearly doubled.
Well, it's still 122 as of today, and it's gone down 2.45% today.
Okay.
So, the thing is, it saves me trading every day if I've got a high returning coin, and although it could die completely, which is the risk.
But that's what I was thinking. This is an alternative way of making money. That means you don't have to keep trading all the time. You're just paying, you're getting 150% APR, which is pretty good. Lavinia, have you got into this space at all?
I don't really trade, but I'm very much interested in the play to earn space. And obviously I know about Axie Infinity. I mean, who doesn't, if you're not in this space? But I haven't bought any of the tokens or anything like that. Okay. I'm just more interested in the concept and the structures of it all. So and I guess that's where I'm at.
That's where I'm finding it interesting at the moment, that there's a lot of growth and interest in yield farming and the whole DeFi space. and it gives an alternative way of getting exposure on these sort of things. So instead of watching the candles going up and down and actively trading and that, it's kind of a more stable way of doing quite nicely. Clive, how long have you been into this space then?
Oh, 6 years I've been doing this. So I use, sometimes I use automated robots, because obviously you don't want to be staring at the screen every 2 minutes sweating. And there's something that is well known in this space for traders like me. It's called 3 commas, if I can pull that up. And you have to subscribe to it. Basically what it does is give you access to well-known trading robots that automate your trading. I'm just seeing if I can sign in whilst we're talking.
Sure.
It's quite secure. So
is that similar to, I think Crypto Hopper is the one that I've seen?
I've not seen. Yeah, everybody's got their own thing. I'll have a look at Crypto Hopper in a second, but this is quite sophisticated and very well protected. So it's got 2 FA confirmation on top of everything else. So I'm just trying to get into it, this 2-factor authentication whilst we speak.
Just while anyone who's watching the video or anything afterwards has just pulled up the website on 3 commas, which gives some of the details. So the fact you can do stop losses and that kind of thing is always quite useful.
That's right. Yeah. So for professional traders, they go for something like this, or they would write their own code that interfaces with the API, the application programmer interface, which comes with Binance. And generally, they don't trade just one exchange; they'll trade multiple exchanges. So that's how it goes.
And do you know, because I'm just looking, they're showing the prices at the moment. Are they doing an aggregated view of the exchanges with that then? I guess it looks like they are. They're pulling in feeds from multiple sites.
Yeah, well, the 3 commas is quite clever, because what they've done, all exchanges have got APIs to allow professional traders to interface and write their own robots to do the trading for them. So we don't look at candlesticks anymore. It's too slow. And so what you do is write code. You can write it specifically for one exchange like Binance, but what the commerce will allow you to connect to, say, 20 exchanges. So people are doing everything from buying cheap on one exchange and selling on another exchange.
Yeah, so they're doing the arbitrage play.
Arbitrage.
Yeah.
And then others. Well, there's a lot of a variety of other robots that they can choose and use from this platform to trade. But trading itself, it took me 3 years to learn, and I started with FX, moved across to crypto because of volatility. There's more volatility in crypto, which is good for a trader. The traditional FX is heavily manipulated, and also we're charged every single day. Whether if a trade is kept open, we're losing money every day because you're being charged for opening that trade. Whereas some of the crypto exchanges are a bit more kind and don't charge you if you keep a trade overnight, etc. So it's a lot more exciting.
I think that's where I found it interesting as well. I went to, I think it was eToro were doing a talk a while ago. And I was kind of unimpressed in a way, because I think eToro have done a fantastic job of promoting the crypto space without actually you trading directly in crypto. Because a lot of the time it's that you're actually buying into a pool that they operate. And they were saying about their trading platform.
The problem with, I was just going to say, the problem with eToro is the charges, the pricing. To make a profit, I remember trying them out in the early days. And back then, and I don't know whether I was the first client, they were really creamy. I was checking what was happening on eToro and nothing was moving. And I was doing a trade on a different platform, say euro versus dollar, and it had moved by 10%, and there was no sign of any change on eToro. It had to move over 10% before I saw eToro indicate a change in my favour. So I
So
gave up on it because I just considered it a completely fucking platform.
So presumably they were just holding their own pool in somewhere and you were trading within that.
Yeah, they're completely manipulating the data. So basically what they're doing is getting a real feed, and then what a lot of these exchanges do is delay the feed to you, or they'll add or subtract the percentage for their own take on it, and they're skimming from your money to make themselves profitable and rich.
Yeah, it's interesting because again,
you know,
I was going to say this guy from eToro who's meant to be quite a technical person. I was saying, oh, so you're pulling in an aggregated feed of all the prices. Which exchanges have you got APIs with? He said, oh, we're doing it with all of them. It's like, well, all of them? Oh, yeah, we're doing it. What, every single crypto exchange? Oh, yeah. Are you sure about that? It's like, because there's some Asian trading exchanges that I doubt if you'll be able to hook in on that. And eventually he backed off and said, oh, we're dealing with all the major ones. All right, okay, that's not quite the same as all of them. It's backing off. So yeah, I found it interesting. Well, Lavinia, I don't know what your experience has been. If you're not trading as such, have you looked at some of the alternatives to direct trading?
I don't trade. I just don't trade. I find it boring. So that's just not what I think maybe one day I've got a couple of friends, you know, who've introduced me to FX trading. It's just not my cup of tea. I buy, I hold. I've bought a couple of meme coins, and been burnt a little bit. I buy crypto on a monthly basis, just, you know, cost per month averaging. And that's how I've done it. It's just safer for me. And I suppose, and I know there's bots out there, and I've even acquired bots to do the crypto trading, but everything takes time, doesn't it? You know, in one form or another. And I suppose I just haven't made making time a priority to even use the bots and test it out. And, you know, and I know people have made money from some of the bots, you know, that I've had access to. But yeah, I just haven't gone down that road.
I think the other thing as well is that you've adopted a personal strategy and you're sticking with it, which I actually think is really important. Because some people, they go, oh yeah, you know, I'll just I'll keep buying, and then they start trading, or they say they'll trade and they flip. So at least you're sticking with what you said you were going to do, which is really good. And then the other thing as well is that bots are good if you want to spot an opportunity, as Clive was saying, like an arbitrage play or a price variation. But if you just follow Bitcoin and stick with Bitcoin on its own, actually, it doesn't greatly matter what time you buy it, because overall, I mean, it started the year at, I think it was $32,000. It's round about the 60 mark at the moment.
Yeah.
Does it matter if you bought it at 32 or 33?
No, not really.
The margins are so big, that kind of thing. So that's good. Hey, we've got Connor's joined us. Hey, Connor.
Hello.
Hey, good of you to come and join us.
Here we go.
Knockout. A man who's even willing to show his face as well. That's always good. Yeah. Whereas I suspect Lavinia is, are you dressed down at the moment?
I am very much dressed down. Yeah, I am. It's been a long weekend. That's all I can say.
Hey, no worries. Mine started Friday night and then I woke up Saturday afternoon, so I know what you mean. So that's good. Hey, so Connor, just down to think, because I think this is the first time you've been along to one of these things. It's just totally open. We end up talking about whatever we want to talk about in the crypto world. So if you've got any questions or anything you'd like to share, you've already missed out. Clive's been talking about bots like 3 commas and monitoring the market, that kind of thing. I don't know if there's anything you've joined us today to listen or learn about.
Yeah, well, not in particular. Just sort of listen and pick up, really.
Cool.
And it's just an huge, expansive subject, really, isn't it?
It is, and when you drill into crypto, it's like you go down this whole series of rabbit warrens of things that get more and more specific. So whether you want to talk about cryptocurrencies, in which case you can talk about trading or investing, or if you want to talk about crypto assets, so then you start to get into the ICO space and NFT space. And then there's DeFi, and we were talking about yield farming before. If you draw a mind map of this, it just keeps growing and growing and growing type thing, which is why I run these sessions really, really open, that, you know, some weeks we'll end up talking about central bank digital currencies. Some weeks we'll talk specifically about Axie Infinity. In fact, we were talking about that the other week, or World Mobile Token, I think it was on the radar quite a lot a few weeks ago, which is a new crypto that's launched, which is bringing, it's kind of like banking for parts of Africa, I think. They've launched in, I think it's Tanzania, so the first market they went into. So yeah, we end up talking about whatever. So, but Clive was doing some really interesting stuff before. Clive, you might want to hop back in terms of your experiences of the market at the moment, because you were saying you were away from it for this week, is that right?
Yeah, but I also trade commodities, so I was involved in some gold trading, so that's why. But this is my pocket change, what I do with it. And I was just saying that I came from a FX background, and I originally trained with a company called the APRI Fund, which I find really useful. It's all online over the internet. For a modest fee, they provide pretty good online FX trading and their own little exams, which I thought were really good. And I thought I really enjoyed doing it. And eventually you get to the gold level 3 trading, and then you can trade with the funds basically. And that's on the FX side of things.
I find it interesting as well.
So that took me about 3 years to do.
Okay. But the good thing about the FX space, certainly, and it used to be in the stocks and shares space as well, if you can find it, there's actually a lot of free training around. I remember in the days IG Index used to do a load of stuff. It's interesting you're more talking about commodities trading, because my former company was in the press the other day around copper trading, because they operate copper mines around the world and they know what's going on in the market. And they did a particular play that I think it caused copper to spike by 10% or something. But you're right. If you look at, I mean, in fairness, even like eToro and that, and some of the hedge funds and that, they do some really good general trading techniques and approaches, things like risk management, which you can apply irrespective of whether you're talking FX or crypto.
Absolutely. The biggest thing that I learned from it, I didn't realize the costs and charges that are hidden from traders. And the reason why I was attracted to the APRI fund is that when you do trade for them, they've got their own platform. They're not skimming from the trade, and they're not manipulating the data. It's real-time data that you've got access to, and it's coming off their own data streams. And they have multiple ones, and that was the attraction to them. And then
so do they plug you straight into, is it an MTI link? I've forgotten what it's called now. There's a trading level you can go into.
They call them liquidity providers, and there's a number of like merchant banks around the world providing liquidity for very big exchanges. Okay. And the exchanges have to pay for this. It's not free. So this guy who runs the APRI fund is so wealthy. He's what he does, he trains traders up like me to trade for him. So we all trade in real time. We all had to do it manually to go through the course. And then the API trading comes later.
So that's all really useful stuff. Hey, Vinod, see you just joined us. Good evening.
Do you know if anyone's going to the NYC NFT event?
The New York one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know of anyone who's physically going. I think there might be a couple who are going virtually.
Can you attend it virtually?
I'm not sure when is it next week.
Yeah, it is. I wasn't aware that you could attend it virtually.
It's worth checking into that because a lot of conferences this year are trying to operate a blended model.
Yeah,
And
that's very true.
I thought New York was, because I'm doing a thing with there's a conference in Sri Lanka at the end of November, I think it is.
Mhm.
And I think that's a mixture of physical and virtual. So I'm presenting or attending virtually this year, whereas in the past I've been out there, and that's kind of quite interesting. Hey, Vinod, you come off mute.
Hi, Gary.
Hey, good
I'm
evening.
also having my dinner simultaneously, I think.
No problem. I'm getting used to the idea these days that anyone who's got a camera on is usually also doing, they're eating or whatever. That's no problem. But yeah, sorry, Lavinia, just going back to your point about the New York conference. I don't actually know anyone who is going anywhere. I guess JT tends to be the one who travels the world, who you'll see on some of our other forums.
Who's
Fernando.
JT?
So you know Fernando?
I might do, but
Okay.
maybe not by name.
Okay, I'll DM his details to you. But he does a fair amount of traveling still, and I think he tends to go to the Dubai ones, or if he comes and joins us, we'll ask him in a minute, because Dubai, I'm finding, is a great example of a world that has gone back to normal, and they don't seem to have any COVID problems or anything now, so they're actually running physical conferences again. But some of them, I think they've got a virtual presence as well. So we'll see. So,
well, Malta's event is happening this year because it didn't happen last year. And obviously Blockchain Expo event is happening. They had the London one and they've got the Europe one happening in Amsterdam.
yeah.
And Portugal seems to be doing stuff now as well. They've got the Web Summit and they've got also a couple of crypto and blockchain events coming up as well.
Yeah, I think the testing the waters, because I think there might be a risk of a few more lockdowns. I think the conference organisers are trying to work out the pricing model of how they actually make money out of this, which is why in some ways virtual conferencing might be the way forwards, because their operating costs are a lot lower. So we'll see where that goes. So anyway, sorry, Connor was just going to come back. With you being fresh in the group and that, what's your area of interest? Are you particularly active in crypto, new, or?
I have a YouTube friend who advised me to get into it like a year or two ago.
Okay.
And like most people, you think, no, I can't afford it, I'll put it off. And then this year I actually took the plunge. Yeah, I put a few. Yeah, spread between, the Bitcoin, Ethereum, a few miners, things like Quant.
Okay.
Yeah, it's to say it's a huge subject, isn't it? But
it is. It's interesting with you saying about the affordability. I did a training session with, it was Coventry University a few years back, where I was talking about cryptocurrencies, and this goes to show how even when you've been doing this stuff for a few years, you still learn something from people asking questions, which is why I love running events like this. And one of the people came up to me and she said, well, this crypto stuff sounds really, really good, but I can't afford my own Bitcoin. So what's the point of me trying to learn about this? And I said, really good point. And that means I need to remember in future to remember to explain to people that Bitcoin can be split up into 100 million Satoshis. And so anyone can buy a tiny amount and you don't have to hold a whole one and all this kind of thing. And in fact, there's no such concept as a whole Bitcoin. It's just that in your balance, you've got 1.0 of them. That doesn't actually mean it's a physical one that's any different, like an Easter egg type thing. So that's good. Well, if you've been into it for a year, that probably puts you in the middle ground of, depends how actively you've been learning about this kind of thing. But Lavinia, how long have you been interested in this stuff now?
Well, I've been personally, my journey started, I would say 2017, but I knew about Bitcoin from 2016. I was hearing about it. And then running Women in Blockchain Talks, it's been 2 years now.
Yeah.
So 2 years and a bit. So, and I think it's very key, like you said. I always reiterate to people that you can start at a pace and at a price that's, that's good for you, and it's not a competition, because most people, even now, the barrier to access to crypto is much easier and lower than it was 2-3 years ago. Even you can, it's not a competition, and you can start at where you're at, and there's many options and many platforms and many wallets that you can use to get started.
I don't know what everyone else's experiences are. For the people who've been doing this for a while, you probably don't even think about it now. But to me, the main barrier to adoption is still the technical complexity of things. So I was producing a video about NFTs recently, and Lavinia, you'll know about this kind of space as well. So I've created various NFTs. So it's a form of crypto related things, and actually going into the detail of how do you create a crypto wallet, and how do you go through the KYC checking, and how do you set things up, and how do you actually make your first trade to buy, and how do you back up your keys in case you lose stuff. And it is actually, it's not as easy as going onto Barclays Bank and clicking on whatever type thing until you are set up. And then once you're set up and you've got a crypto wallet and it's got some crypto in it, whether that's Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever, I just love the fact that you can meet someone in a coffee shop and you can just show each other your QR codes and you can transfer value just like that. So it becomes very easy once you've got it all set up. But getting it set up is the difficult bit, which is why I keep trying to get more people into it.
It depends if you're doing it by yourself. I've set up wallets for many people now. And so, of course, if you've got someone on hand who knows what they're doing, it's much easier.
Yeah.
But the process can be very convoluted, especially when you're exchanging from one crypto to the other, because you don't want to buy more. But, I think what makes things easier is the fact that people recognize the brand Coinbase. If you say Coinbase to a lot of people now, they're like, yeah, I know what Coinbase is, or I've been on there, or I have an account. And so you don't have to explain what Coinbase is. I mean, you do to a degree of like the steps you need to take, but they kind of have an idea of what the brand is. So I think that makes things so much easier.
It's interesting as well. I was looking at some numbers the other day. In the UK, it's estimated that somewhere between 2 and 9 million people now own crypto in some way. The 9 million sounds a bit high, but 2 million.
It was wallets. I heard it was wallets they own, because that doesn't mean that they have crypto in it. Because I know lots of people who set up an account on Coinbase or one of the exchanges, or have a wallet, but there's nothing in it. They haven't actually bought.
You're right, and this is ultimately the problem, that you don't actually know unless you go through someone like a Chain Analysis or Elliptic. Those companies do a lot of analytics around linking wallets and working out who they are. You don't ultimately know who owns a wallet and who doesn't, type thing. So I remember I had a question from the FCA, I think it was 2 years ago now, where they were beginning to get interested in whether they should get interested in crypto or not. And they're always looking at what their boundaries are. And they said, well, how many people in the UK have got crypto? It's like, well, actually, there's no way of knowing. And how many people in the UK have got crypto? How much of it do they own? And again, there's no sure way of knowing. But Chain Analysis, I think it is, they've just published another report on the world cryptocurrency marketplace, and that they're really good on their research, and they've pulled together some numbers about crypto adoption around the world. I can't remember how many they said in the UK, but you suddenly discover things like the most widely adopted popular country for crypto is Vietnam, which is kind of like, you don't even think about that, followed by can't remember where it was now, but it's certainly in the top half dozen with things like Venezuela, Brazil, because of the economy and that, but also India, Pakistan, and then it started coming into the more countries we're kind of more familiar with. So we'll see. So sorry, Vinod, what's that message you put in? You might as well just say it rather than me trying to read it. El Salvador, you're right. El Salvador, first country to make it legal tender.
Yeah, how come they're not popular in that country? I was wondering.
So I think that when a chain analysis did the report, that was just before El Salvador declared it legal tender. And also my understanding is that there's a lot of resistance in the country by citizens who don't want crypto. But yeah, you're right. In theory, that should be the most widely adopted because the president's declared it legal tender and they're doing it from there. A good point. But I also think a few more Central American countries are going to follow suit soon. So keep an eye on Honduras, Paraguay, those kind of regions, and we'll see what goes on.
It's quite difficult to kind of get a sense because I think some time ago India also declared it illegal or something like that. But I think a lot of people still find ways to do it.
So India is fascinating. I keep an eye on the market there. That what's been happening is that first of all, there is massive, fairly high adoption there. I've seen it, or at least according to Chain Analysis report, they reckon a lot of the trading that happens is actually done in India. But you look at the government perspective, if you take a look at what SEBI and RBI said, so that the regulators are quite against crypto. Then there was a Supreme Court announcement in, I think it was August or September, that said, no, crypto is actually legal. And at the moment, I believe there is a paper with the Indian cabinet to make a recommendation, and the recommendation is believed to be to make it non-government backed cryptocurrencies illegal. So we'll see where that goes. So India is always interesting because in anything, there appears to be three markets. There's the legal and legitimate market, there's the black market, and then there's the gray market. And the gray market is where crypto is kind of sitting right now, where it's not illegal, but may not be legal in the future. And the reason I tend to mention India is because there is so much activity there. A decision as to regulating it there could have an impact on prices. So we'll see. Yeah. So Connor, you've said you've been in the space for about a year. Any lessons you've learned? Apart from don't listen to people.
Hindsight is a beautiful
Never share your keys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're never really too late, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, it's interesting. The example of that's probably Lavinia was saying about. She got into it around about 2017, but knew about it in 2016. I think you said, Lavinia.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so you look at what happened around about then. That 2016 Bitcoin, which was the absolute dominant one, was fairly static. I think it was around about the $1,000 mark or something. But as it got towards the end of 2017, it absolutely exploded. And in, I think it was the last weeks of 2017, it hit $20,000, which was phenomenal. And then it absolutely tanked and it dropped to, may have been as low as $4,000 or something, but it absolutely collapsed. But if you've still held, even if you bought at $20,000 at the end of 2017, like the day before it collapsed, well, it's back at 60 now. So you still quids in. And I was having that conversation with somebody the other day who was talking about how it is, their ISA's doing really well because their ISA's growing at, I think he said 8% a year or something, which he was quite happy with. I was saying, well, yeah, that's probably crypto, you're probably getting 8% per month. And he kind of like, what? Yeah, so interesting. And I see we've got the person who always comes on as iPhone, but I'm going to have to change it so it actually says Sam, I think it is.
No, it was Mike.
Mike, hey there. How's it going, Mike?
Good. Yeah. Forgot it last week, so like I finally got back in last 20 minutes.
No problem. I nearly forgot to promote the whole event, which is why at the last minute it was a frantic pushing it out on WhatsApp and Telegram.
You should get
and Facebook.
like a group into the Telegram and like, Bugs Crypto Club or Gary's Club or something like that.
Yeah.
You're curious, what's going Bugs, by the way? I mean,
say again?
Who's Bugs?
I didn't get
Did the name? Who's Buck?
Who's back?
Buck, B-U-C-K. Is that Bucks Crypto Club?
Sorry, yeah. So that's the history of this group. So Bucks is actually there's a place in England which is Buckinghamshire, and people tend to call Buckinghamshire Bucks. So like the council is Bucks Council, and the local college is Bucks College, that kind of thing. But I set this group up a few years ago in a little place called Marlow, which is in Buckinghamshire, and we called it the Bucks Crypto Club because it was people. At the time, it was like me and a number of others who were quite new to this space, and we wanted to learn from each other. So we set the group up. It was in a local Starbucks cafe. We call it Bucks Crypto Club. I was just so we could learn off each other. But since then, when COVID hit, we stopped having the physical meetings. But I carried it on Zoom, and we kept the name. So Bucks Crypto Club.
Fair enough. Because I only know the Zoom part. I don't know those before.
Yeah. And also the thing is that around the world, a lot of people think of books as in money. So as in making loads. Well, that's right, making loads of books. So I've kind of kept it on that. So could rename it, but it's stuck, so it works. So,
All right.
Yeah. But Mike, how long have you been into the crypto space now?
About a year. Yeah.
Okay. So there you go, Connor. Someone who's a similar kind of background. We'll start somewhere. And probably out of everyone, it sounds like Clive, you're the man with the most in-depth experience, not just in crypto, but trading in general. Is that right?
I don't know. Obviously, everybody's probably keeping the cards close to the chest. It's just that I do this for my living, so I don't have any other source of income, and that's why I have to trade constantly. But in a perfect world, if I was working and employed full time, I would put my spare change into crypto, much like Lavinia does. And it's all about holding on to it. There's never going to be more than 21 million Bitcoins. And so inevitably the price will continue to rise, I think.
Yep.
The thing I've been noticing, because I deal in bulk amounts of Bitcoins called OTC, is that the big institutions, merchant banks and major banks have been buying up probably at the behest of the Fed in America and the European Central Bank. And they've been trying to take crypto off the pitch since it came out. It's an existential threat to them. And they've tried various things. Now they've put in the exchanges under a lot of pressure to reveal all the KYC of the members, and so they can tax them. But don't forget, they relied on the bank for all these centuries to provide the government with information to tax people. And originally, if this Bitcoin behaved in the way it was invented or designed to, exchanges wouldn't exist. It was thought of originally as just a means of transfer between two people. So for example, me and Lavinia, or you and me, to exchange value between each other. And what happened is that these exchanges came from nowhere to make huge profits out of it, seeing a market space. And that's provided a weakest common link for governments to intervene and grab hold of all our private information from these exchanges, or to be threatened with closure. And we've seen that in my time. It's got more aggressive. And I've had, as I think I told you in the last meetings, I've had 3 bank accounts close me down and freeze my funds, and I'm still trying to fight. Doesn't look like I'll get my money back, but I've lost about 120,000.
Wow.
So Lavinia, you'll understand now why it was I sent you a note a while ago about that.
Remind me of the note.
So it was about where your group was accepting crypto payments. And I said you might want to check about your banking service around that.
Oh, right, yeah, but I was accepting it into a wallet. I set up a wallet, so the funds just went straight to the wallet, so it was crypto to crypto.
Yeah,
And then,
but
of course,
but if you link that wallet to a bank account,
which I didn't.
okay, that's good, because I had an interesting experience, and Clive might know about this because we've touched base a few times in one of the other groups I've got. I actually had it at one stage where I got a phone call from my business bank one day, and it all started off really friendly. It's like, hello, you know, this is your business bank account manager, just getting in touch to make sure the service you're getting is okay, anything we can help you with. Oh no, it's all great, you know, it's working fine. Okay, thank you. Just a question, Mr. Nuttall. Well, we had a look at your website. It's like, oh, that's interesting. You know, we notice you talk about cryptocurrencies and blockchain and all that kind of thing. That's really interesting. That. Oh, thank you. You know, I'm thinking, you know, the playing to the ego type thing for a minute. And then they asked the question. They said, oh, so does that mean, you know, through your company you deal in cryptocurrencies at all then? And that's where the alarm bell went off. And I said, no, I teach people about cryptocurrency, but I don't through my company trade in crypto or deal in crypto or anything. And the conversation went very cold at that point. And they started asking some very pointed questions. And it was kind of quite funny because they started saying, oh, well, can we just take a look at, we noticed there was this transaction, which was this amount on this date in Singapore, I think it was. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that? It's like, well, yeah, I was in Singapore at the time, so it was me. And it was just, I was out on a training course teaching people. Oh, was that about crypto? Yeah, it was actually. I was teaching people about crypto. Okay, but you weren't exchanging. No. And then there's another one in Hong Kong. The same thing. I was doing a worldwide thing with a bank. Blah 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 blah. And they were very, very interesting questions, shall we say? But what was really funny about it was that they were trying to tell me who it was I was giving the training to, and obviously I wasn't going to divulge that. Because it was their compliance department. And yeah, so actually I was teaching the compliance department of a bank I did some work with about crypto and about blockchain and about AI. And of course, this person who was my business bank account manager didn't know that I was working with their company. And so it was one of those ironic things that I couldn't actually tell them who my client was. And they're getting a bit antsy about it, and it was actually their own people.
Oh wow!
So, but you could see from the tone of the conversation that it was very much that they were really keen to hear me say I deal in crypto, and I said no, absolutely not. No. Oh, okay, that's fine. Then we'll be in touch. We'll make a note on your account or whatever. So yeah, just be careful. As Clive will share, he's had some horror stories of. Banking facilities. Go on, Clive. I think you're going to add to that.
What happened with me? I used to trade for other people as well as I used to trade for groups of other people who used to send me their funds and just buy crypto because they wanted to save their own time and didn't want to trade it. So I'd trade over maybe a month their money. And the bank started noticing this, and everything was going fine until I think it was December with the onset of regulation. So it's quite interesting that Gary had spoken to the FCA a couple of years earlier, educating them. So the FCA come round and started asking all traders to pay up £10,000 to get an FCA license to allow them to continue trading crypto for other people. And Clive looked into this.
Clive, I was quickly going to say the more annoying thing, if I remember correctly, the crypto asset regulation, it wasn't to give you a license. It was just so that you appeared on a register. Is that right? Because
at the time, this 10 was just an application fee. Yeah, that was the thing. Thanks for reminding me about that. The actual fees would be applied after the event, and we wouldn't know what they would be, but they were going to be a percentage of our turnover, of our profits. well, I think it was based on turnover rather than profits, which is what scared everybody away. And out of 220 original applicants, last time I looked at the FCA site, there was less than 50 still remaining in there.
Yeah.
And it's a jurisdictional thing, and everybody's realised that if you don't trade in the UK and you don't have a UK company, then they can't do anything about it.
Yeah. And I think tying in with that as well.
That's one way about it.
I was going to say, I remember that the FCA actually announced at one point that they'd had something like, I think it was 66 companies had withdrawn from the registration process. And what was interesting was that they announced that the same week that MAS, which is the Monetary Authority of Singapore, announced that they'd had an additional 60 applicants to join their program. It's like, oh, wonder if there's a connection there.
Yeah, of course. I think it's got a lot worse. It must have been a while ago, Gary, because last time I was on the FCA site, there's a very small list now of UK FCA approved traders.
The list of approved ones hasn't grown greatly. The list of temporary authorizations is still there, but you're right, that has shrunk as well. I think it's down to 120 or so. I must go and check it. So, folks, I'm just conscious we've only got about 7 minutes left. I'll try and open it up to just make sure that we cover anything that anyone has any questions about. I don't know if anyone got any questions or comments or anything.
I do have a comment. So you said that they shut down your bank account and you probably lost 120,000. What do they do with that money? They've claimed it, but it can't just sit in the bank account, do nothing forever. What happens? Like, what's the process?
What happened? The process is all I did was to move money out of Binance to one of my own accounts. Well, in my example, 3 different accounts, and each one of them, and this the first one began early December, which was Citibank, which had the largest amount of money in it, and they just played me along and said, we want to see KYC of everybody. I sent them on all the KYC, sent them the contracts that I'd signed. Then it all went silent. And then after chasing them up over the telephone, because they're all using Indian call centers, or in Citibank's case, Filipino call centers, they said they couldn't help me any further, and I would eventually get a letter from them. And the letter came, and it said, it showed my bank statement with all the money in it. And then there was another bank statement showing reduced to 0. So they just basically stolen the money. And the same thing happened with the other 2 banks. One was Santander, and the other one was HSBC. And
so I don't understand how they can just get away with it.
It's under the Banking Act. They're allowed to freeze people's money for up to 2 years without any criminal conviction. And there are some solicitors sites you can go to and read about the law. Just Google it.
Wait, sorry, which app is it?
They can do that under the Banking Act. Pardon?
Which app is it? Sorry, the name of that.
Which app?
Yeah.
I think you misunderstood. I'm not talking about gaming apps.
No. I think he's asking, where can you go to get these lawyers, I suppose, is asking.
No. I think Clive was mentioning there's like an app which just frees people's assets without without any criminal conviction or something like that. Which one was it?
No, it's the banks will do it.
It's just banks.
Which bank was it? But all the banks?
I just named them.
Yeah, it can
Citibank,
actually.
Santander, HSBC.
Yeah.
Santander, HSBC.
Yeah, and Mike, I've seen it happen with other banks as well. Certainly UK ones, where they'll suspend the account, they'll freeze it pending investigation, and then, as Clive says, the investigation will take 2 years, and they can legally just freeze it until then. And it's bizarre because they do that a lot in the crypto space, whereas in the traditional banking space, what they do is they let you carry on, and this is non-crypto. If they think it's a dodgy transaction or something, quite often they'll let you carry on. They just file what's called an SAR, which is a suspicious activity report, and that's their obligation done with them. So this is how it is, that they'll take like dollar bills in a Mexican bank and use $20 bills or whatever, which is clearly very, very dodgy, but they'll process it and file an SAR, which is absolving their things.
That's the, I think, that's the thing, because the usual process is like they suspect you, but they're not going to immediately take any action or something like that. But they could like immediately suspend you and do like just, you know, freeze your funds. Like you don't even have to have any like you know, legal obligation to do that. It's just, I think, crazy.
They will just argue, in the UK, they'll now use MLD, 5 MLD, which is the money laundering directive. And they'll just say, you know, that this is in breach, or we've done our KYC checking and we're suspending it.
They don't, Gary, they don't say that at all. You just get a letter. They don't
say why.
Accuse you of that. If they did, then I'd have a legal suit against them for unlimited damages, you know, because that's damaging my reputation.
Yeah.
And I don't have any court cases against me, pending or otherwise. I haven't been arrested at all. It's just pilfering people's bank accounts for no just reason. You know, they're not given a written reason. And so from my own perspective, I've been more recently relying on Bitcoin and crypto to buy things rather than relying on money. I don't trust the banks anymore for obvious reasons.
Jeez. Wow.
You mentioned, Lavinia, you mentioned Coinbase, and I will relay what happened to me back in November, December with Coinbase. I filed a document by mistake to Revolut, and they were asking me for my inside leg measurement, and I filed the wrong document, and it showed Coinbase's balance. As a result of that, all my problems seemed to kick off, and I couldn't delete this incorrectly filed document. Basically, Coinbase froze my account because it showed that multiple people were sending me funds to generate my Coinbase account. So they froze all my crypto assets and also my funds, but luckily everything was in crypto. After I complained, and about 2 months went by, they were honorable, and they let me release the crypto assets, and I could move them out of Coinbase. I had about 7 days to do it. So I moved them to different exchanges and to cold storage wallets. And luckily I didn't lose anything with Coinbase, but they did that at the same time as the FCA. The FCA, when they tried to regulate this, they came down very hard. They must have sent a message to all the banks in the UK and all the exchanges around the world to do something and to jump all over British citizens, because
they actually wrote what's called a Dear CEO letter, which very, very clever British style, that basically said, we are aware of crypto trading activities being nefarious, illegal, blah, 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 and we just remind you of your obligations to do various things. So it's a very clever way of saying you might want to be careful of this. Folks, I'm going to have to close this off now. I know that was a really interesting topic, a little bit different, but we have just passed the 8 o'clock mark, and I always try and keep this on time to not tie people up. So thank you very much, everyone who came along today. Clive, thanks very much for sharing some great insights there, which are more to do with the large-scale crypto risks and banking and that, but nonetheless could apply to personal people as well. So I always say be very, very careful with crypto in your banks. Because if they choose to suddenly make it inaccessible, they will. And thank you for coming. Hope everyone enjoys this. Do come along again, join us every Sunday, and the video will be posted up sometime this evening on the YouTube channel as well. So thanks a lot, folks, and bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.